Hello and welcome to my video. I'm today going to talk about AK-47 magazines from my collection, and I want to do a quantitative review of which I believe is the best magazine from my collection. Now, I've been online over and over trying to find searching for best AK-47 magazine. And I get some returns, but each time no one explains why they think one is best or one is no good. It's just seems to be, I like this one best, or this is my favorite. So let's try to do a quantitative review and decide, again, from my collection and no one else's, which is the best AK-47 magazine. Now, I don't do fancy scrolling or titles or editing, so I'd like you to look at this video as if I'm here and you're sitting right there in my workshop with me. It's just pure raw video. There's nothing fancy going on here, so I'll be moving my camera around because there's nobody here but me and my best dog, Dixie. So let's take a look at my magazines, and I will give you the rationale behind my quantitative analysis. So I'm going to move the camera over to the workbench and let you see what I own. Okay, these are my 6 magazines. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 Russians and 2 Bulgarians. The Russians are slab sides and 1 stamped steel, an AG4 fiberglass reinforced composite, which is misnomered as Bakelite. It is not Bakelite, but that's what we call them. And 2 Circle 10 Bulgarian plastic waffle magazines. So today I would like to establish some criteria, and I will have to get my notes to walk through this with you, for me to decide which of these 6 magazines would be the best in 2 situations. The first situation is the battlefield, and the second situation is a hobbyist on the range. So I'm going to grab my notes. Stand by. When you're doing a quantitative analysis, the first thing you have to establish is a benchmark or a baseline. So the benchmark that I established was maybe I should back up a bit. On the battlefield, you have several criteria that make a good magazine. Number 1 is how much does it weigh and how many rounds can you carry into combat. Number 2 is how well does it function. Number 3 is what's the durability, how will it last. And if the last and by far the least is fit and finish, how well is it made. So to establish the benchmark, what I have is I was in Vietnam as an 03 Marine in 1968. I know what I carried, and I know what I could carry. And if you look at, if I look back, I wore a helmet, which was 8.5 pounds, a flak jacket, which was 11 pounds, I needed a poncho, a pack, and belt suspenders, which is about 4.5 pounds. You got to have water. I had 2 canteens of water, which is 5 pounds. 2 M26 grenades is 2 pounds. Had to eat, so we had 3 meals, and we had C rations. That was before LRATs. So we're going to call the C rations 4.5 pounds. An M16 rifle is 6.4 pounds, and bayonet and scabbard, one of these, is 1 pound. Now, in each fire team in a rifle platoon had to also hump either all within the 3 or 4 people within the fire team. It was required to have a trenching tool, an E-tool, 100 rounds of M60 gun ammo, and 2 Claymore mines. So we're going to say every day you're carrying another 6 pounds of one of those 3 items. That means you're humping 48.4 pounds in the jungle. You cannot survive with any less than that 48.4 pounds. So my analysis is based on this benchmark. I was 5'10", I weighed 150 pounds, and I could carry 45% of my weight. That means that all the ammo I could carry into combat was 26.6 pounds. Now, I know that the U.S. Army says it's 2 kilos, but we're not using the Army, which is a generalization. We're using a specific time and place, 1968, in the mountains, in Vietnam. You cannot carry more than 26.6 pounds of ammo and magazines. For me, that was 40 M16 magazines loaded with 18 rounds each. And also, part of the benchmark, the 18 rounds is what we were trained from day one. So I'm going to assume that the comm block armies said instead of 30 rounds, you'll carry 28. And that's what the weight that this analysis is based on. So we've got that behind us. And my next step was to weigh the magazines and see how many magazines that a comm block soldier could carry into combat. And I use this scale. I'm not going to weigh them because I've got the weights. I tested it with this 20 gram. Let's get it into grams. This 20 gram scale is my test. You can see it's exactly 20. It's calibrated with this 2 kilogram weight. And I weighed each magazine. I have 2 of these and 2 of these, so I weighed both and averaged them. Which brings us to my analysis. So let's move this out of the way. I'm going to bring my laptop over here and try to get it clear for you. Now this may take a minute, so bear with me, please. And here's my study. Again, I'm going to move the camera. So I apologize for my lack of technology here, but that's me. Now, hope you'll be able to see this quite clearly. So I weighted my study based on my own experiences on what's the most important. First of all, this is a combat magazine. It's just a battlefield implement. So in order for it to be worth anything, you got to get it there, and it's got to work, and it's got to last. So getting it there is the primary concern. So I weighted the weight of the magazine by plus 40%. I weighted the functionality of the magazine by plus 30%. If you get it there, it's got to work, right? Durability, it's there, and I ain't going anywhere, so I weighted that by 20%. And then fit and finish, which may or may not need anything, but it means a little bit to me. I weighted it only 10%. So it's 40, 60, 90, 100% of weight. When I weighed the magazines, the slab side, the average weight of these two magazines, right here, these Russian Ishmash slab sides, the average of the two is 863.9 grams, call it 864. The steel stamped Russian is 787.6. The AG4 is 692.8, which is the lightest of all the magazines. And the modern plastic Bulgarians are 701 grams. So I took those weights and I said to rank them, the higher numbers are best, so the lightest magazine is the best. The next lightest is next, right down the line. And the slab side is the heaviest, the worst. And then I multiplied that by the 40% to carry across to the final score. Durability, now I didn't struggle much with this because I could have taken my magazines, all of them, laid them out on the yard and ran over them with my ATV, ran over them with the back wheel of my pickup, then the front wheel of my pickup, and see which one failed first. But I decided that I'm not going to do that. Sorry. That would be the right way to do it, a destruct test. But what I did was I looked at the magazines based on how they're built. And I ranked them as the best, of course, the solid steel. The second best as the steel stamped. Next is the Bakelite, or AG4, because that is truly fiber reinforced composites. And then the polymer or plastic is last. Again, my factor is 20%. Now functionality, I decided that I've never taken one of these magazines and put it in the rifle, loaded, and pulled the trigger, and it didn't go boom. I just don't think any of these magazines have a problem with functionality. So I rated them all as a tie, as perfectly functional. There's the factor is 30%, but it makes no change to our analysis. Fit and finish is pretty interesting stuff. And whenever I move the camera back, I will show you that the Russian steel slab side magazine is like leagues above any of the rest of these. The way it's constructed, the way it's fit, the way it works is, I should have put a 5 in there, but I didn't. I'm just going to rank them in order. This guy right here is a mess. It's so difficult to take apart. The floor plate doesn't fit well. and when you put it back together, it doesn't exactly line up right with the spring follower. So I didn't like it at all. The second best one was the AG4, and it is really nice, but it is nowhere near as nice as the fit and finish here. But that's only a 10% rank, so there you have it. So in a combat situation, based on weight, based on durability, based on functionality, based on fit and finish, which one do you take into the jungle? The AG4. The final score barely, but it does surpass the steel slab side. This guy's a distant third. I've seen video posts where people claim that the Circle 10 Waffle magazine is the best on earth. Well, maybe it is, but it's not in this world. So there's my study. If you have comments about how you like or don't like my analysis for any reason, whether it's the weighting or my benchmark baseline or how I ended up, any kind of disagreement or agreement, just post a comment. I'll look at it. Maybe I'll redo it based on those who are more knowledgeable in mathematics than me. I may just do it. And I will certainly take that into account and post a follow-up video. Now let's talk about this fit and finish one bit before I move. I'm going to move the camera again out of the way. Stand by. It's hot here in Texas. Okay, let's look at this slab side. This is the nicest magazine I've ever seen. Whenever the follower is, everything is steel on this thing. The follower feels like it's running on ball bearings. That's how smooth that is. Everything is perfect about it. Here's what you do to disassemble this magazine. Take your thumb and push it down and take off the floor plate. And that's it. That is it. Look how easily it goes back together. This is perfection in manufacturing right here. Got my fingers on it wrong. Look at this. Everything is fit like. Is that cool or what? Now, let's take the next step up, which is the steel stamped. Again, this is from their main factory in Russia. You can do it with your thumb, but look at that. It just doesn't fit like the slab side. But it's nice. There. It's definitely second best or so. The AG4, you know, I'm not going to take it apart, but it just doesn't have the, see how the floor plate is less, it's just, it's not like this, there's no doubt about it. Now the highly acclaimed plastic one from Belgium, forget it. You're never going to do it without your basic tool. Once you get this thing off there, if you can get it off, it's just cheap. It's not cheap, it's just not there. I don't know what it is about it, but it seems to be less metal than any of the rest of them. I don't like it. Now that one popped right back in like it's supposed to. It's hard to get it to line up right. So that's why I rated the fit and finish like I did. These magazines are good. I mean, I've fired many rounds through them, but they are not like the Russians. There we go. We're lined back up again like good soldiers. So let me move the camera again. I'll wrap this up. Bear with me. Remember, this is not a professional video. This is raw video. And you are in my workshop with me, making it. I don't have a cameraman. I don't want one. I got a dog, and all she's doing is sleeping. Get that just right. So that's my battlefield analysis. I believe that the AG4S fiber reinforced magazine for the AK-47 7.62 by 39 is the best battlefield choice. However, I'm now 69 years old, so I don't go to the battlefield too often, but I go to the range all the time. Which magazine is the best for the range? There's no doubt about it in my mind. It's the slab side. Look at that. That's my magazine. If I was in combat, that's my magazine. I hope you like this video. I hope it means something to you. I've absolutely been looking for some kind of quantitative review on AK-47 magazines and never found it, so I decided to do this amateurish analysis myself. If you have comments, put them down. Be harsh. That's what I like. And I will take every comment into consideration. So thank you for watching, and stand by for a follow-up. Goodbye.